Welcome back to the RW podcast. I'm really excited for this episode. This is an episode I've been wanting to do for a long time. Well, okay, a week. By the time this comes out, it's only been a week since the Weatherby cartridge has been announced, but it feels like forever. But before we get into that, I want to talk about our guest today, Tim Johnson from the new Patreon channel. I guess that's what it's called, Ethical Hunting Accuracy. Now, I've known Tim for a couple years now, and I just want to give a little bit of a plug for Tim. And guys, I'm going to be brutally honest. Tim is rough around the edges, okay? But he is the most knowledgeable hand loader, you could say ballistician, that I know. And I don't know if you guys have noticed for the past couple of years, my groups have been getting more consistently better because of what I have been learning from Tim. You know, he says some things that are hard to hear, but it's true. I would highly, absolutely recommend you guys give Tim a try over on Patreon. You will not regret it. He's done one live stream. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to make it because of some family events, but I watched it later and it was awesome. So many golden nuggets that you will never hear on YouTube. You won't ever hear it from me. You won't ever hear it from anyone, including Hornady. He has so many good things that you can learn. So absolutely recommend Tim's new Patreon account. With that being said, Tim, Weatherby just announced by the time this video premieres a week ago, the 25 RPM. Okay, so back in September, Tim, Weatherby did a podcast. I think it was September. They were celebrating the 80th anniversary. They announced some new guns, and they also hinted at they were going to announce some cartridges, which is interesting, plural. Well, January 7th, they announced the 25 RPM. Now, me and you since September have been kind of speculating what could these new cartridges be, and we definitely kind of guessed that it's possibility that the 25 RPM could one of the new cartridges, right? Okay, I brought you on this. I've been wanting to make 25 RPM content since last Wednesday. I've really been wanting to do it, but I really needed you to be on because, guys, let's be honest, I'm a huge Weatherby homer, big Weatherby fanboy. So, my opinions on the cartridge, people are going to just be like, oh, of course, he's just towing the line with Weatherby, or he's just a big homer. So I wanted to get someone else's opinion, someone that is definitely not a Weatherby fanboy.
No, not at all.
So, Tim, what are your thoughts on the RPM, the 25?
Well, let me start by saying thank you for that wonderful introduction. I was not expecting that. Thank you very much. I mean, you've said in private, like, people are going to start to figure out our relationship and that we are friends. You know, we've known each other for a couple of years, and for better or worse, I'm going to air this out that you view me as like your reloading mentor, and you've said that. You've said as much, and I appreciate that. And I have noticed, and everybody else that watches your channel has noticed that your stuff is getting better and better and better because you're applying the things that I teach. So I do appreciate that, and I appreciate your support. It means a lot to me. And as far as this cartridge, I'm not a homer of any cartridge, and that's one thing that if you watch my stuff, you will see. These are just tools, guys. They're just tools. You got a toolbox full of tools, and you have to decide which one's right for whatever your application is. And I think that's why my message and what I'm teaching is resounding with so many people, is because I'm not bought and paid for by anybody, and neither are you. I mean, you're not either. You just have a love for those cartridges, and Weatherby and some other bigger companies allow you to play with stuff because you have a big channel. But I'm not bought by anybody. I'm going to tell you what I think. I don't have to appease anyone or whatever. So let's dive into the 25 RPM. I know you've been chomping at the bit to put content out. So for you, a day is a long time. Whenever we talk about doing these, he's like, well, when can we do the podcast? I'm like, I don't know, maybe in a week or two or a month. And he's like, how about tomorrow? Austin is very like, he likes to get stuff going.
Yeah, I push out a lot of stuff. I want to talk about the night before Weatherby released their new RPM.
Sure.
They put out on Instagram and Facebook a kind of a teaser So they had a 6.5 Weatherby RPM in a picture, a 338 Weatherby RPM, and a non-seated bullet RPM that everyone was kind of like, what is this? And one of the first things I noticed was, Tim, they Creedmored that RPM.
Mm-hmm.
It's not as
They
long
did.
as the 338 or 6.5. I think they did kind of an optical illusion to kind of throw people off, because that
I agree.
case does not look as wide as a 25 caliber.
I agree. Yeah, it looks wider,
Mhm.
because the first thing they did was, the reason they left the bullet out is so it's not as obvious what it is.
Right.
And then they shorten it. So you're like, well, why would they shorten it? Is it because it's smaller caliber or what? So then your brain starts thinking, okay, they shorten it because it's smaller caliber than 6.5, which makes you think it might be 25 or something else. But then you look at the neck, and the neck's wider than the 6.5, and you're like, well, now I don't know what, now I don't know what's going on. I don't know what to think here. And I guess we're going to have to wait, because they didn't give it away,
No.
And then
we
when
talked
we finally
maybe
found out what it
30
was,
caliber. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, because it looked like 30.
Mhm.
The neck, I mean, if you just looked at that picture, that's what I thought it was. That's what I told you. I'm like, that looks like a 30 to me. It looks bigger than the 6.5. So then we were speculating, is it 270 RPM or is it 30 RPM? Because I don't think they're going to do 7 RPM. That's the same as a 7 PRC with, a different rim diameter.
Okay, so let's get into 25 RPM. You are a big 25 caliber fan, and I'm kind of hopping on the bandwagon of the last 3 years since owning a 257 Weatherby. True blue or whatever, true fan of 25 calibers. So I want to hear your initial thoughts on 25 RPM. Go for it.
Yeah, always have been my whole life. A little bit of background. My grandfather's favorite cartridge for deer was a 257 Roberts. And he's the one that taught me how to hand load, just taught me the basics when I was 14. And that's what I learned on. The first thing I ever loaded was a 257 Roberts. So then I was like, okay, well, these are what you need for deer. And I've been in love with the 25s ever since. Most of my experiences with 257 Weatherby Magnum, I've basically burnt out 2 barrels in 257 Weatherby Magnum. So I know what makes that thing tick. So when this came out, I think a lot of people with these new cartridges, they're like, they don't know what's coming. And they're like, well, what could they possibly do that's new? And how's it going to separate itself from other things? And the speculation wheel just starts turning. And I think for people that are relatively inexperienced, they think, well, there's no point in doing this unless it's faster than the 257 Weatherby, which isn't going to happen.
No,
it's not going to happen. I mean, you can't. If you did like a 25 by 300 Weatherby Magnum, that would be faster, but you're not going to see it in any normal barrel length that that normal guys like to use.
Yeah,
the return isn't going to be there. So for us that are experienced, we knew that wasn't what it was going to be. The easy button would be just neck down the 6.5 RPM. That's the cheater's code. You just neck it down and ta-da, you don't have to do any real work. Well, the problem, I think they learned when they did the 6.5 RPM. I think they learned what shortcomings it had, in that they're like, okay, we're trying to fit in the 3 and 340, and we got to stay in our 6 lug action. So they got a diameter restriction because of the 6 lug, and they have a length restriction because of the 3 and 340. So they're like, okay, here's our niche where we need to fit it. And then they said, okay, well, the bullet's got to stop at 3 and 340. Let's put the biggest case we can behind it and try to get some serious speed here. And it worked. But the problem is, at 3 and 340, pretty much any bullet you use is too far in the case.
Mm-hmm.
And they figured that out, because in the world of high BC that everybody's trending towards now, or most people wanting higher BC bullets, if you put that in a 6.5 RPM, whether it's a 156 Berger or whatever, any of the 140 class high BC bullets, or the 130 monos, or 127 Barnes, whatever, the bullet's too far in the case. And now you're chewing into that powder capacity that you put in there, and you're not getting everything that you should have. And so I feel like the 6.5 RPM was kind of the stepping stone for them to go from their old, boomer design, for lack of a better term, of giant case, stick the bullet way in there, way too far, and just this little tip is sticking out. The 6.5 RPM was their stepping stone to kind of fixing that, but it wasn't fixed all the way. And whoever the engineer is that designed the 25 RPM, he gets it. He knows what to do.
Yeah.
And he's like, okay, we're not doing that again. We're going to set this shoulder back where it should be. Like you said, Creedmoor, they basically Creedmoor to 6.5 RPM and necked it down to 25 to get the bullet in the right place, which I said this in my live stream. That's exactly what I would have done. If I were to design that cartridge, I would do the same thing. I'd say, here's the bullets we're using. 3 and 340 is the limit. So set the bullet at 3 and 340. Where should the neck be? 35-degree shoulder. Make it as big as we can. Ta-da!
Yeah.
72.5 grains. And, that's what it is. I would have done the exact same thing. So I think it's very well designed. And I said this in a live stream, like it's not flashy. I think guys were expecting whatever. I don't know what people expect these days, but big numbers, big, whatever. I think it's great. I think they did a good job. And we can talk more about the nitty gritty in particulars, but
sure.
That's my 10,000 foot view is they're getting with the times. They're setting the bullets where it should be, and they're designing cartridges the way it should be. And if you are a Weatherby fan, you better start coming to expect that from them, because that's what they're doing. That's going to be the modus operandi going forward.
Yeah,
it's the days of giant cartridges with the bullet stuck way too far in to try to meet some unrealistic cartridge overall length. Those days are gone. This was the final nail in that coffin.
Okay.
They're not going to go backwards. I mean, why would they? They already have, they already have the speed demons in just about every caliber.
Almost in everyone.
Just about, but
yeah,
all but one.
I don't know if they're going to do it, but it would be fun to see.
We're not talking about that today.
No, we're not. Okay, so I wanted to bring up, just so you guys know, I am getting a 25 RPM here in the next couple weeks, and Barnes sent me. Yep, Barnes. So Weatherby sending me a rifle. Barnes also just sent me, not even released to the public, the 117 grain Barnes LRX. And I guess I kind of want to talk about ballistics, Tim. Why the 25 RPM? I think, I don't want to steal the words out of your mouth, but it is, maybe you said, the best medium game cartridge?
I did.
Boom.
Yeah. Boom. I said that in a live stream. I had a little whiskey in me when I said it, but I think I still mean it. I think it may be the optimal, like, bang for the buck, the perfect medium game, long range medium game cartridge. It's everything you need and nothing you don't.
Okay.
If you have that magazine length restriction. So let's think about this. If we're talking medium game, what do you really need to kill any deer that walks the earth or a pronghorn? You don't need a lot. You don't need a big bullet. You don't need 6.5. I mean, 6.5 is a good choice too, but you don't need it. You certainly don't need 270. You don't need 7mm. Now you're starting to get into elk territory where you can shoot deer with them, but they're way more than you need. Some people argue that 6mm is not quite enough. I disagree. I think it is enough, but when you start to stretch the range, then 6 isn't enough. I mean, look at the name of my company, Ethical Hunting Accuracy. Mm-hmm. You have to have enough to do the job. And while a 243 or any other 6mm is perfectly adequate to shoot deer out to 200-300 yards, there comes a point where it's not.
Yeah.
And we have to be realistic about hunting ranges. And yes, I'm a long range guy, but I don't really promote, and nor do I care for, guys shooting past, let's say, 600 yards, even if you have the skill to do it, just because these things move. And in reality, most of the guys that are big game hunting are never even going to approach that 600-yard line. So if that's the case, if nobody's going to shoot 600 anyway, or most people aren't, and it's really like even 500's a stretch. So now let's say if 400 and closer, like yourself, you draw your line at 4. If 400 and closer is the line, and that's going to encompass 99% of guys, how much do you really need? in that range, we need fast and flat, and we need adequate energy to do the job without excessive recoil and without, all the extras and all the different things. Like, you don't need a 257 Weatherby to shoot a deer or a pronghorn out to 400 yards. It's nice because it's really flat, and
It's
you
fun.
can probably you can probably use an 80 grain TTSX or 100 grain TTSX or 101 LRX or something like that in a 257 Weatherby Magnum and have a 330 yard zero
Yeah.
and only be 4.5 inches high on the way there and only like 6 low at 400.
Yeah.
You're pretty point and shoot, but you don't have to have that. It's more than you need. So if 257 Weatherby mag is too much and you start going down in case capacity, you don't go down very far and you run right into the 25 RPM.
Right.
So if you need a little more than 6 mil, but you don't have to have 6.5, the 25's right between them. And then for usable case capacity, we could do an hour on that about why the 257 Weatherby is too much. Weatherby 25 RPM is about 15 grains water capacity smaller, which I think is the sweet spot. And I talked about this on the live stream with a 257 Weatherby Magnum. For those, you've been doing a lot on GRT, and I do a lot on GRT. If you put the right water capacity in there for 257 Weatherby Magnum, you can't fill that case. And if you do, then the powder doesn't burn. So you get two choices. You can either use Retumbo H1000 and 565 and get it all to burn in a 26-inch barrel, but then you're not filling the case. It's like 91, 92%, maybe 93 or 4 fill ratio. So you got a lot of wasted space. So then why have that big case in the first place? Or you have to go slower than H1000 Retumbo N565 into N570, N568, something like that. And then most of the time, they're not all going to burn unless you're at absolute max pressure.
Or you have longer barrels.
Or you have longer barrels.
Really long barrels. Yeah.
Right. Like 30 plus. And most guys don't want to carry that around. I mean, I do, but the average guy stops at about 26, and that case is too big. It's too big for 26, and kind of no matter what bullet you're shooting in there. So if that's too much, and let's talk about barrel life. Let's just throw that in there real quick. Like, barrel life on a 257 Weatherby is 500 rounds, maybe, if you're lucky. It's like 4 to 5, 4 to 6, depending on if you got a good piece of steel. It's 4 to 6. Well, I mean, if you're only shooting game, that's fine. But if you're actually going to practice with this thing and do load development and, take it out and use it, you better get used to going through some barrels. So just in all ways, it's just, I love that cartridge. I love my 257 Weatherby Magnum. It's too much. It's not, it's more than you need, and you can't optimize it anyway because nobody wants a barrel that long. So now we start coming down in case capacity. It's going to be more usable, more functional. The barrel life is going to skyrocket above 500. I would guess this 25 RPM barrel life's probably around 1,000 rounds.
Okay.
Kind of in the same neighborhood as like the 6.5 RPM, maybe a little less than a 6.5 PRC because that's a little bit smaller. Plus you have a bigger tube. So, just going down 14, 15 grains in water capacity, you've now made it more usable, more efficient by comparison. And you doubled the barrel life, and you gave up, for 26-inch barrels, you maybe gave up, I don't know, what would you say, 150, 200 feet a second compared to the Weatherby Magnum? If we're talking 26s. Now, they're marketing it in 22 and 24-inch barrels, so the numbers are really gray and skewed. But if for equal barrel length, 26 inches, it's probably not a huge amount of difference. And in the first 400 yards, guys, that's meaningless. 150 feet a second doesn't. When you're up in well over 3,000 for like the Barnes 117 or the 112 CX or 110 Accubon, stuff like that, you're going to be way over 3.
Yes.
And when you're way over 3, an extra 150 in the first 400 yards, that's pretty meaningless. It helps with that point blank range. But other than that, you're splitting hairs. I kind of
Well,
rambled for a long time there.
can we talk about these new monolithic bullets for 257 and why they're just going to make 6.5 not obsolete, but these 257 monos are going to make the 257 RPM better than 6.5 PRC and 6.5 Weatherby RPM.
If you want to shoot monos, yes,
Correct.
absolutely. For because the 6.5 was embraced sooner, there's more choices, right? There's more high BC options for lead core bullets and that sort of thing. And for monos, let's look at what we have in 6.5. We have the 127 LRX, we have the 130 CX. Those are the front runners for high BC monos in 6.5.
High BC.
Yeah,
They're not great.
No, they're not great. And the 127 LRX was there first, so it's more established than the 130 grain CX in 6.5. I don't recall what that G7 is off the top of my head. I think it's like in the 230s, 238, something like that.
I can give you the G1. Sorry, I can't remember the G7, but it's a G1 of 468, and then the CX is a 486, 85. So you're in the fours.
Quick and dirty math. If you just cut the G1 in half, you're pretty close to the G7.
Okay.
So yeah, that put it in the 230s, something like that. So if we have a 127 LRX and the G7 is in the 230s and the 130 grain CX is 250, well, you look at this new Barnes and the new CX, they're higher than that.
Oh yeah.
So now if you have the same size cartridge, like you said, 6.5 PRC, if we have a 6.5 PRC, which is smaller than the 25 RPM and heavier, so now we have less powder pushing a heavier bullet with lower BC, the 25 RPM with either the 117 Barnes or the 112 CX runs away from 6.5 PRC.
Yes.
From the muzzle to infinity, and the farther you shoot, the more it outperforms the 6.5 PRC. You can't debate it. The numbers are what they are. If you have more velocity and more BC, in perpetuity, the performance is better the farther you go.
Before this podcast, I ran the numbers against the 6.5 RPM and the 25 RPM with the 127 LRX and the 117 LRX.
Yeah.
And the 25 RPM, despite having 8 grains less of case capacity, beats it. Once at 600 yards, it's flatter. It actually has more energy too and less wind drift.
Right. Because, and I was talking 6.5 PRC. Forget about that. Look at the sister, 6.5 RPM. And they even, like I said earlier, they even made it bigger, where it was like halfway in between old school and new school. Cram the bullet in there too far, chew up some of that case capacity. I'm sure you simulated this on GRT. Yeah, that little bit of extra BC, it's going to catch the 6.5 RPM in all ways but bullet diameter. We can't do anything about that, but it's going to catch it velocity wise, trajectory, wind drift, energy, all of it.
Yeah. So it's actually a really neat cartridge. And Tim, I've been seeing a lot of people kind of poo-pooing on the 25 RPM since it's been released. And I just think they don't understand what Weatherby's trying to do.
I don't either. And I think because it's not flashy, it's not a huge statement. Like, remember when Nosler came out with their cartridges?
Yeah.
We're all like, so much for barrel life. Like, okay.
26 Nosler, holy cow.
Yeah, like they're taking a serious run at Weatherby. And then Weatherby comes out with this, and because we're all, usually not that impressed by new cartridges, we're like, okay, come on. But I think that's kind of I dare say it's kind of the amateur's view of it. Once you get really, really into this stuff and you understand all these intimate details about it, it's not about peak velocity. It's not. It's about what can you get out of that cartridge? What powders are going to be usable for what you're trying to do? What are we realistically going to use this thing for? And if you encompass all of that, you take the complete view, there's nothing wrong with this cartridge.
Not at all.
It's fantastic. It's exactly what they should have done for that 6 lug action. It's exactly what they should have done. And now you have a great option. You can use in Tikas. You can use in Ruger M77s. Like, I still work with Little Crow Gunworks, and with Dale, our relationship really hasn't changed. It's just I'm kind of, doing my own thing now, but still going to be working with him and using his guns and all that. We do a lot of rebarrels. There's a lot of guys out there that have a Ruger M77 sitting around, or a Winchester Model 70 sitting around in 270 or 30-06 or 35 Whelen or whatever. You're a barrel away from a 25 RPM.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's that easy. You're a barrel swap away, and you can get with the times and get right up with this kind of performance. And maybe you got that old gun sitting around and you don't use that much anymore. This is an easy button, and that cartridge length at 3 3/40 will fit right in your Ruger. It'll fit right in your Winchester. It'll fit right in your Tika, your Savage, whatever you have. You just got to have a standard bolt face, new set of dies, or if you're going to shoot factory ammo, and you're off and running. I mean, that is serious performance for what we're talking about. For that magazine length, 400 or 500 yards, laser flat, where you don't need to be a mathematician to do this stuff. It's when you have that kind of performance. I think that's why the 257 Weatherby is so popular, and 6.5 RPM. When you have that kind of performance, you just have to get the wind direction right. You don't need a ballistic solver. I mean, 400 or 500 yards, you really don't. Like, that much performance, you don't need a ballistic solver and a this and a that. It's like, okay, the wind's coming from the right. Favor, 6-8 inches into the wind, send her down the road. Like, what else do you want?
Another key thing I think is really important is there's going to be Peterson brass for this cartridge.
Absolutely.
So high quality brass is really important for a cartridge to succeed.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, not only high quality brass, but it's got to be available. And I talked about this in my live stream. Peterson has tremendous manufacturing capability. I don't know if you guys have been paying attention to them. They're not only did they get their capacity to where they can maintain supply on their current cartridges, they're adding cartridges left and right. They're adding cartridges way faster than Lapua or ADG or Alpha or, any of their competitors, really. Norma has pretty good manufacturing capability, but they make a lot of weird stuff. They're European-based, so they make a lot of the, European-based cartridges, where Peterson's in Pennsylvania. They're domestic.
Yeah.
So they get it. They know what we want. And they worked out a deal with Weatherby, and now Peterson's making. Are they making every Weatherby cartridge? It's close. I don't know if they're making,
because there's no 370 case, parent case that they make. I think this is just hearsay. I don't know. I think Norma is still making the 378 cases.
Okay. And that could be just due to obscurity. They probably, I would bet Peterson worked out a deal with Weatherby and said, okay, how much of this stuff do you sell in a year? And there was a cutoff where they're like, okay, we're not making the weird stuff, the unpopular cartridges, but the ones that people want, 257, 300, the RPMs, like any of the new 340, like any of the classics that have sold tons and tons of rifles, they're making now, including the 25. And their supply chain is outstanding. They have, a lot of people don't know this, but they have triple the manufacturing capability of Alpha and ADG. Triple. So not only do they have way more SKUs, so they're already way ahead in the race, but they have the ability to be flexible and go, okay, what do people want? They want this, let's make it, boom. And they're going to, those other two companies, they make great brass, but they're never going to catch up. They can't. Peterson's too far ahead, and they have more manufacturing capability, so they're going to win the race. If you guys are looking for a line to turn to, you're deciding you want to get into good brass, I can't recommend anybody more highly than Peterson, just because you're going to be able to get it. If a company
100%.
makes it, that's cute, but is it in stock? Like, ever? That's what we care about as handlers.
Can I give an example?
Yes.
So I'm helping my friend Nicholas, Big Timber Lodge, load a 6 GT. At the time he got it, Lapua makes it, Alpha, and Peterson. The only one I could get is Peterson, and we got it.
Bingo. There you go. And that's a hugely popular cartridge too. So you have to consider that too. If you decide you're going to jump into a cartridge or buy a new rifle or build one or whatever, you have to consider that too. You can't just say, okay, well, this one company makes brass for it and it's never available.
Yeah.
You're setting yourself up for failure right out of the gate unless you buy enough brass for the barrel before you build or buy the gun. You're setting yourself up for problems. And so consider that, and they're going to be making 25 RPM brass, so it will be available. And maybe we should talk about how like this is never going to be like as popular as like a Creedmoor cartridge or something like that, because why don't you give your 2 cents on that? You had a good take on that.
Sure. I mean, Weatherby is already in a niche market, and 25 caliber is already niche. So I don't think this is going to be a huge market success of a cartridge. However, for those that know, they will love it.
Absolutely. And the fact that it's not going to be, like you said, it's not going to be a giant market success, meaning demand is not going to be super high. However,
it could be for
Peterson's
Weatherby.
making brass.
Like I'm
Yes.
comparing it to like the PRC cartridges or the Winchester, right?
Right. You're saying the market as a whole, it's not going to be a giant success. For Weatherby, I think it will be. However, because it's not going to be in huge demand by the market, that means, and Peterson's making brass, you should be able to get it. So like if you're looking for something to start and you're like, okay, I want a kind of a one and done medium game cartridge and you're looking for something new, I really don't think there's a better choice out there right now.
Okay.
I would go that far.
Okay.
I mean, I'm biased. I'm a quarter bore guy, but I'm not a diehard Weatherby guy.
No, you're not.
Like, I love the 257 Weatherby and the rest of them. I mean, you and I are friends, but I tell you all the time, like the rest of them, I could kind of take or leave the rest of the Weatherby cartridges. Where the new 6.5 RPM we spent time playing with, and I think that's a good cartridge. 257, I have a lot of love for. The 300's a classic, so you got to have respect for that. That was the big boy on the block right after the H&H. But the rest of them, I kind of feel like there's better mousetraps. So coming from me, not being a Weatherby homer, saying that this is a good cartridge, it might be worth listening. I think it's a great choice.
I agree. Well, thank you, Tim, for so much for coming on here. I think we had a fun little discussion. And guys, 25 RPM content is coming very soon on my channel. I am really excited to test this out. This is brand new stuff. I'm going to get to play with, see what kind of powder it really likes and what kind of velocities we can truly get out of this neat little cartridge. So
yeah, I'm excited to see it too, because I know you're going to get everything out of it you can.
Yep.
You're going to find where the ceiling is and go, okay, no more.
Correct. Yep, that's what I do.
So it'll get a fair shake from you.
It will.
I can't say the same from everybody else, but you're going to see where the limits are if you watch Austin's stuff, because he finds a ceiling and goes, okay, this is it. That's all you're going to get, boys. It's honest.
And in the past, I definitely went beyond the limit, but I'm not doing that anymore.
Right. You're learning. Yep.
I am. Cool. Thank you so much, Tim. And hopefully we'll be able to do this on a monthly basis. If you guys are interested in that, in seeing Tim come on the channel maybe once a month, let me know in the comments.